Okay, so other issues that were raised again are particular to those who are living in China. As you know that Zimbabwe is not considered as an English native speaking country. Therefore, it's difficult for Zimbabweans to get jobs, especially in the teaching profession, which is mainly the available job for foreigners. So it's very, very difficult. So that issue also was raised. Another issue was the issue of documentation, where people are saying, well, it's so difficult to acquire documents. Why can't our embassy just process everything and just issue those documents? Because sometimes the process is very long, where you need to, to apply from the embassy, and then the documents need to be sent to Zimbabwe, processed and come back. In China, documentation is one of the most important things. Without it, it's trouble. So those issues again were raised, and the ambassador, Ambassador Felix Shaba, was able to answer those questions. Say, well, a lot of these things are still being looked into to see how they can be done. In the issues of employment, they say, well, they are going to continuously engage their counterpart, which is China, to see what can be done, okay, in that regard of in making Zimbabwe an English native speaking country, because already Zimbabwe is one of the best, when it comes to English, okay, and education. So that issue was raised. I know this is one of the most important issues of that kind for Zimbabweans who are here in China. So all those issues were raised. But right now, I'm just going to leave you watching, a clip. Okay, actually, it's a full clip of what the ambassador says.
Ikwanise kunge ichibatika. Kubatika kwayo kunobva mune zvatinoita maererano nekuvakwa kwenyika yedu, sezvo mukuru wedu Comrade Idi Mnangagwa vakati Zimbabwe kana kuti nyika inovakwa nevene vayo. Saka makomrade tine rombo rakanaka rekuti nhasi uno tatsikwa naminista wedu Dr. Shava vane mashoko avada kutipakurira. Vapedza kutipakurira mashoko, kana paine vane mibvunzo makasununguka kuti munge muchibvunza minista wedu. Honorable Minister, imhuri yenyu vana veZimbabwe, vamwe vari kushanda muno, vamwe vari kuzvikoro. Nguva nenguva pane zvatinoita zvese tinenge tinavo. Vanotombouya neuwandu hwakadarika zvavakaita izvi, asi nepamusana pekuti mangwana kubasa zvinogona kunge zvangoafekta vamwe mawiri avo. Saka ndisingapedzi nguva, ndinokumbira Honorable Minister kuti muye mutaure nevana vauya kuzochinganidzana nemi. Ndinokutendai.
Ndikataura chiri pasi ndonzwika here. Togona uchisimudzira. So, no, something chinochitsigira. Munondinzwa? No. Just want something to piece. I don't know about. Okay. Don't want to battle. I want something to piece up so that everyone can hear. Unlike the ambassador, allow me to speak in the language of record. The language of record is English, so I will speak in English. Ndichazoti apo napapo ndichipinda pane zvinokwanisika, but allow me at this moment, this formal moment, to address you in this fashion. Zimbabwe's ambassador to the People's Republic of China, Ambassador Chedondo, senior government officials, most of whom accompanied me, embassy staff, the leadership of the Diaspora Association, members of the diaspora community, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you all to this meeting, where we have the opportunity to interact on issues that sorry, that one. I was saying that please allow me to appreciate the Zimbabwe Embassy to China, and in particular the ambassador, Lieutenant General retired Chedondo, and his team for organizing this meeting this afternoon. Let me express right away the government of Zimbabwe's that it is elated by the commitment of the diaspora community, which has shown to be preserving social, economic, and cultural links with learning curve. I think it's not me learning, it's the people setting up. I will restart. Let me express right away that the government of Zimbabwe is elated by the commitment that the diaspora community has shown to preserve social, economic, and cultural links with your country of origin, Zimbabwe. Despite the distance between you and your country of origin, you are still Zimbabwean citizens with an interest in the country's success. And at this stage, I just want to let you know that in some countries, there are more diaspora citizens than there are in their own country. A particular example is Ireland. In the Irish population in the Republic of Ireland, you'll find that there are more Irish people outside Ireland than there are inside Ireland, which means that generally speaking, diaspora community can be a state in its own right. The government of the Second Republic, under the leadership of His Excellency, the President, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, acknowledges the importance of the diaspora contribution towards national development, and is committed to ensuring that the diaspora community is not left behind as we embark on an inexorable developmental trajectory. Indeed, your contribution to the economy through financial remittances to your loved ones back home, implementation of projects, your own projects back home, philanthropic works of sorts that you do, and skills transfer programs cannot be matched, as it is enunciated in the mantra, which is so popular now and common. Nyika inovakwa nevene vayo, ilizwe lakiwa navanikazi vayo. Ladies and gentlemen, in the recent past, our nation experienced economic difficulties that negatively impacted the quality of life of our citizens. The diaspora remittances provided safety nets for our people, and they also grew to be the second largest source of foreign currency inflow into Zimbabwe. I think the largest was the mining industry, then the diaspora contributions. The diaspora contributions contributed to the growth and the stabilization of our economy. The most recent statistics reveal that the diaspora remittances in the first quarter of this year, 2023, amounted to some 420 million US dollars in the first quarter, which is slightly higher than last year's, which was 387 million. for the same period. The government continues to encourage you to utilize formal channels of sending remittances to protect your hard-earned financial resources from falling into the wrong hands. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to highlight that in line with our National Development Strategy, which we call NDS1, the thrust towards this, devolving diaspora initiatives, and in the spirit of leaving no one behind and no place behind. My ministry has recently held the inaugural Diaspora Investment Conference Spotlight. I think it was called Spotlight Zimbabwe in Bulawayo on the 26th of April 2023 on the margins of the ZITF. The event was largely a success as it provided a platform for you and all your representatives to interact with captains of industry, several government ministries, departments and agencies that were specifically invited to address issues of interest to you. I am pleased to note that most of you took time from your busy schedules to participate both virtually and physically on the event, which was held in a hybrid format. However, the time allocated to the conference was not enough to address all the issues of critical concern to the diaspora. But let me assure you that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade will continue engaging you from Harare through the Diaspora Directorate, as well as through the diplomatic missions, including this particular mission. And we will continue to engage with you. Cognizant of the interest that you have shown in the recent concluded conference, my ministry will organize a much bigger diaspora investment conference to allow for more exhaustive and much more comprehensive engagements between the diaspora and the local stakeholders. The dates for this event are still to be established. The delay in this event has been due to the fact that we had not been able to bring together all chapters of the diaspora from wherever they are. And we wanted to avoid a situation where one particular group of the diaspora could become the dominant group of the diaspora. Yet their situations and circumstances are only relevant to them and may be different from many others. Ladies and gentlemen, the success stories that members of the Zimbabwean diaspora community have revealed on their investments in Zimbabwe's various sectors are evidence that you heeded the President's call for the diaspora to be active participants in the development of the country. While we welcome international investment, charity begins at home, and it goes without saying that the diaspora's contribution in the rebuilding of our nation is crucial. Hence, your voluntary contribution to the rebuilding of our country without any strings attached is indeed applauded. Zimbabwe's diaspora also possesses the potential to emulate other nationals who are known to have established shops and restaurants that serve their traditional menus in countries of residence. Scope exists, therefore, for Zimbabweans in China to establish similar restaurants, where purely Zimbabwean meals, utilizing ingredients from Zimbabwe, can be served. I don't know whether to my right is such a restaurant, and I'm not so sure where the ingredients have come from. But this is what I'm talking about. Maybe the beef is from Zimbabwe, and all the other ingredients over there in that corner there could be from Zimbabwe. And this is carrying your tradition to where you are. Scope exists, therefore, for Zimbabweans in China to establish similar restaurants where purely Zimbabwean meals utilizing ingredients from Zimbabwe can be served. Conscious of the availability of a ready market amongst the diaspora and your socioeconomic networks, I urge you to actively pursue such initiatives that also promote Zimbabwean culture. I used to be in the diaspora once, and during that time, independence had not come by. So we could not have such lovely gatherings of the diaspora. But when during that time, if I wanted to eat sadza in London, I would always go to North London. And when I went to North London, there was an old man called Mr. Mtasa, and Mr. Mtasa used to run a restaurant there where you could eat sadza and mfushwa and matrimbi and everything in London during that time. But of course, some of you might know that he also brought up very entrepreneurial youngsters as his sons and daughters, and Shingim Tasa is one such son. Zimbabwe's diaspora also possesses the potential to emulate other nationals who are known to have established shops and restaurants to serve their menus in their countries of residence. I've already gone through that. Working in conjunction with the Zimtrade and Development, the Zimbabwe Trade and Development of Zimbabwe branded establishments is one of the ways through which the diaspora could contribute towards increasing exports from Zimbabwe, and this will have a positive impact on our developmental project. If I don't read this particular paragraph correctly, the man to my far left will rise up and seek to correct me. So allow me to repeat it. Working in conjunction with Zimtrade, the development of Zimbabwe branded establishments is one of the ways through which the diaspora could contribute towards increasing exports from Zimbabwe, and this will have in turn a positive impact on our development project. Ladies and gentlemen, may I also take this opportunity to inform you that Zimbabwe's National Diaspora Policy of 2016 is currently under review to align it with the aspirations of the NDS1 of improving diaspora participation in national development. The engagements with our diaspora has informed the need to review the diaspora policy to ensure that priorities, issues, and concerns of you, the diaspora, are well captured and attended to in a predictable manner. As such, I wish to encourage the diaspora to participate in this exercise and provide that their inputs in the new policy through our diplomatic missions and associations and outreach programs. The reviewed policy ought to reflect the needs and expectations of the diaspora, as well as provide the enabling framework for continuous interaction with the motherland, Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to rebuild our beautiful nation, brick by brick, stone by stone, as my president and your president would say, and looking ahead to realizing our national vision of Zimbabwe to be an upper middle income society by 2030, let me wrap up by thanking all of you for prioritizing participation at this event. It is my hope that this conversation will continue until such a time when the diaspora and the government are in harmony with regards to the roles that each one should play to fully maximize the potential of the Zimbabwean community. Only Zimbabwe's citizens, both at home and abroad, have the power to change the course of our country. Nyika inovakwa nevene vayo, ilizwe lakiwa navanikazi valo. So let me just end by saying that we get to hear of some of the calls that you make regarding the facilities you require in the diaspora. And in this particular station, I think one of the biggest concerns is that the authorities here are not regarding you as an official English-speaking country. And for those of you who are in the teaching fraternity, you feel frustrated because you feel you are not being represented appropriately. We will continue to make interventions on your behalf. We will continue to try and make our colleagues in the Chinese leadership understand that we have a language of record, which I'm speaking right now, and that because of that, we are quite proficient in the language of English when it comes to teaching or speaking it. So I think the way forward is that we will try and work out a possibility of an agreement during what we call the JPCC, the joint programs that we discuss with the Chinese, to say that we can agree on some kind of exchange program in quotation marks, not seriously exchange as to one, but to say that if they give us people to teach Confucius in Confucius institutions in our countries, they should perhaps also accept that our nationals can teach what they know best in their countries, and that if that is the case, we should therefore they should therefore accord the Zimbabweans in their society the right privileges that they also give to those countries, so-called English-speaking countries. So we have that uppermost request to make to the Chinese leadership. We will make it, and I'm sure that we will reach some compromise somewhere so that you can get what you deserve. But otherwise, I also want to urge you to do more than send money to your loved ones, but to send money for investment in Zimbabwe. We should find together, explore ways of how we can send money for investment in Zimbabwe, either to buy shares in Zimbabwean companies or find other ways of how your money can be invested in Zimbabwe. I'm sure that the Minister of Finance will be very willing to discuss possible avenues of how you can invest while you are abroad. That is quite possible. you will be aware that as far as the stock exchange is concerned, it's no longer just a rally that hosts the stock exchange, but the Victoria Falls holds another stock exchange in US dollars, which you earn, and from where you can buy stocks in that particular bourse. So look at that and find out how best you can increase your resources back home